Hey, welcome back everyone. So in this video I want to show you how to sculpt a head all in real time using Zbrush. So this is more of a beginner's tutorial, but let me know what you think. If you got any questions, comment below. And if you liked the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Without further ado, let's jump on in. So let's get started by first going to Lightbox. We can just grab the Dynamesh sphere. I like to start with Dynamesh because it allows me to flesh out whatever base forms I'm working with. So if you hit Shift F, you can see the polygon flow a little bit more visibly. You can see it pretty much right there as well, but Shift F shows you that. It also shows you the polygroups when you start breaking things up. I'll keep this pretty basic though. I'm not going to get into polygroups, but they're pretty easy to utilize, and they allow you to group your model together more efficiently. So essentially with something like this, make sure that you have X on the keyboard toggled on. So if you notice that other point to the right pops on, I'm hitting X on the keyboard. Another way that you get to that is go to Transform, Activate Symmetry, X, right there. So the other thing you're going to want to be aware of is your subtools. We're going to work off predominantly one, might introduce another one, but this is where your multiple tools like layers or objects would go. And so I'm going to go start with B, C, oh, I hit the wrong one. B, C, B. So let's try that again, B, C, B. And that's brush clay buildup. So what you're basically doing, if you hit B, you're bringing up your brush menu. You see there's just a bunch of them in here. I gravitate towards about 3 or 4, really 5, unless I'm doing specific sculpts. But right there is where we're at. So you got clay buildup. Clay tubes is pretty interesting. All these are fun to play with, but I'll start with clay buildup. It's the most widely used. To scale up your brush, you're going to hold spacebar and just drag back and forth with this. Equally, you can hit the bracket keys. It just takes a little bit longer. And so the first thing I like to do, we'll just start with a face because that's, you know, what most people are going to go for anyways, right? We'll just do a face. But first, you're really going to want to think about your plane changes. So what you can do is just start anywhere, really. Say cheekbones and eyebrows, right? And then hold Alt and cut backwards into the eye sockets. And press down through the nose area and just click and pull to the side. We got a funny looking little character, but we just need a starting point. It doesn't need to be great. It's not going to be at first. You got to get through the ugly stages. And let's go to BMV for move and hold spacebar, scale this up. I'm going to drag this down, play around with this a little bit, start bringing that forehead up into the front a little more. Scale it back a little bit, holding spacebar. So I can just isolate more of the chin area. Jawline. You're going to want to turn to an angle, and you'll see that don't get discouraged if you turn to a specific angle and everything you thought you were doing kind of falls apart. That's a natural part of the process. It's just quickly make adjustments and keep moving forward. So the beautiful thing about working with such a low polygon version of this mesh is that you can really see, you know, the angles take place. If it's too dense of a mesh, you really can't really tell what you're looking at a lot of times. To me, this is the perfect way to start something, even lower at times. There's times I go with a super low mesh just to really basically take a polygonal or maybe that's not the right word, a very geometric approach to building the character. And I think that a lot of times if you feel like you can't figure out the shapes and the volumes, that's the ideal way to go. So basically lower the polygon count and really try to box model in a sense with even something like Zbrush. Now I accidentally did a control drag, so I just want you to see that. It did reorient the polygons. Not a bad thing, but I really wasn't going for that. So I just wanted to show you that that's how you do it. So you find your polygon flow getting a bit stretched. That's when you do the control drag, and it's going to redistribute the polygons into a new flow, and basically just take the polygons that are there and redistribute them more appropriately. Another brush I like to use pretty early on is BDS. This is Damien Standard, and just kind of push some of this back with that. Even some wrinkles going, even though wrinkles are a little bit more in the final stages or secondary to tertiary detail. I can't say that word, but tertiary details, I think. But regardless, what I like to think about is building in edge flow. So for me, doing this early on is a good idea because I'm starting to tell the polygons where they need to go. You know, you're pushing and pulling polygons. So this is a good brush for that. I use it like I'm scribing or drawing into the model. And so something like this, let's work on that chin, and I just keep bouncing around. I pick things. Now, I'm not working from any sort of reference. I like to just imagine characters and, you know, see what comes out of it. But you could definitely have a mood board with all sorts of great character types that you're a fan of. Now, obviously, if I'm going for fan art, then I'm doing more of that. I'm looking at some reference for characters that need to look a certain way. Not doing that in this one. I would love to say that it's going to come out looking like some arcane character because I've been just immensely enjoying that animation stuff. It's just insanely good. It's so good. But I doubt I'm going to be able to capture that kind of vibe. They have a really unique, cool style that I've yet to capture. But I'll have fun with it. I'm going to go for something a little more well-defined, though, so big cheekbones, stuff like that. So BCB, back to clay buildup. As I mentioned, get that zygomatic bone in there, nice and prominent. Start to just draw a little shape for the ear, even though I like to either extrude that out or add another. I really like adding other subtools for the eyes, ears, stuff like that. So this is probably about where I would need it to add a little bit more geometry. So what I'll do here is go into geometry, Dynamesh, bump this up. We'll just say 60. I'll just double each time, see what I get there. I touch the mesh at least once, very lightly. It seems like if you don't do that, it doesn't properly reconfigure the Dynamesh. Maybe that's an old thing, I don't know. It seems like it was something that forced me to start doing that where I tap on it once. I'll keep pushing these eyes back, or eye sockets, eye cavities, and add a little bit more volume to the side of the nose, get some of the nostrils or the flare wings of the nostrils going. I go back to that Damien standard, push this back. Likewise, hold Alt or Control. No, sorry, Alt. It just came from Blender where it's Control on my keyboard for the Alt version. So Alt, and it brings you the opposite of whatever brush. So in this case, I'm now going inward here, holding Alt, going outward there, go down to here, inward here, and you could do, let's see, inward here, outward here, smooth with Shift. So it's just this back and forth process, right? Like push, pull, poke, prod, and on the madness goes. And each time you want to try to push these amounts of polygons that you have to work with to their extreme, I guess. You really want to hold back on dynameshing and adding polygons and subdivisions to you really can't get any more out of where you're at. Now, I don't know. I've heard that more times than I can count from studying other videos. I don't live that as well as I'm preaching it, but I'm also trying to get better at living that experience. I jump into detail a little too soon because I really enjoy the detailing process. I think a lot of us probably have that problem, but there's a lot to be said for really getting the most out of your underlying structure. And I'm trying to get better at that. So take it as you will. Even this front brow area, I feel like this needs to come in a little bit. So it's, even though it made the eyes look funny, I'm not going to give them those beady little looking eyes. Let me smooth that out, widen them out a little bit. So a lot of times you got to get just these right angles to figure out what's going wrong on your model. Remember too to occasionally hit Shift F. If you're like me, it helps you see a little bit better into it. Just like another technique for this that a lot of artists will do is they make sure to use various matte caps to see that the way the light bounces off the model. Me personally, I really like the polygon flow for that same reason. I feel like his chin's a bit too big. Also, looking at the model from varying degree, not just different angles, but also different sizes. You generally can spot other aspects to your work from a particular size. You know, smaller size, usually you can see the bigger picture. So yeah, try to pan out like this. Look at the little silhouette up there. You know, pull it at the funny angles, stuff like that. Now at this point, I really need to add in some eyes for me to know where I'm taking this. So I'm going to hit Shift F again, and yeah, I'm going to do it even before I subdivide, even though I'm pretty close to needing to subdivide a little. I need a little more geometry to work with in my life. But what I'm going to do here is just append a sphere. I'm going to go to Scale right here, grab the middle. Oh, of course I'm on the wrong subtool. For some reason, ZBrush doesn't see fit to switch it to the subtool you just added. I always find that to be weird. Transparent, bring that over, scale it way down, turn to the side, hold Shift and it'll snap to the side. Bring this forward, scale it down even further. I don't know the exact size of an eyeball. I should, but I don't. Let's go to here, snap with Shift, bring it to the center. Now what I usually do here is I can't quite tell exactly where it should be until I do a couple things. One of which is, let's go to Draw Mode, BCB, spacebar, scale down, hold Alt, and push the eye cavity back further. Okay, maybe put a little more volume to the side. Feels like this area is a little bit bare, kind of floating out there. And so the eye generally lines up to about the nose, right? So maybe it's a little bit further back, but I feel like it's better to go a little bit further back than a little too far forward. I could be wrong, but we can always adjust it. It's not a big deal. So what I'm going to do now is just basically go over to Geometry, Modify Topology, Mirror and Weld along the x-axis, which is the red. So click this guy. Nope, I'm on the wrong. Forgive me, I am on the wrong subtool. I did just fix any asymmetrical problems with the model though. That's another way you fix asymmetry in a sculpt. So if you go off symmetry, just make sure you can re-flip one side to the other and fix your symmetry. And that's ultimately what I just did on accident. Mirror and Weld, there it is. So now I will go back, so I don't forget, to the head model. And like I mentioned, I'm pretty much ready to subdivide this anyways. I could probably do a little bit more with the Damien standard just to get some of those details integrated into the edge flow. So I think, and this could just be my own perception on it, but this is what I think. I'm sure you guys always want to know my own opinions. Is it basically, I like to get these details in even in a lower meshed version and push and pull these indentations before I remesh. I feel like it helps to tell ZBrush how I want that edge flow to go. I could be wrong, it could be totally for naught, but I don't think that's the case. So I'm going to go ahead and draw those in there real quick. You know, details like this. And then now we will re-Dynamesh, which is such a cool term, Dynamesh, which is fun to say. All right, so Dynamesh, let's bump that up to 128. And again, touch the mesh real quick with whatever brush you have handy. Control drag. And now, lots of glorious polygons to work with. So I like to always jump in and smooth just a little bit to see how much it's smoothing. I don't want to get too crazy with the smooth brush, but just see how it's reacting. Pretty good. back to BCB. And like I mentioned, I use a lot of the same brushes over and over. And so now I'll work on the eye area. And this is actually easier than you might think. I know when I first started sculpting, I struggled immensely with the eyes. So I want to get in here and show you how these really aren't that bad. I'm not saying I do the best eyes, by the way, but they're passable. They're decent eyes. Diciendo. Okay, so what I'll do is I need to bring some of this mesh, BMV for move, and I need to bring some of this mesh up, but I need to also watch how I pull out on the cheek. And I also want the top eyelid to be, I want this angle right about there. Okay, so I'm looking at that. I'm going to pull back this cheek because I want this nice defined zygomatic bone. So you see a lot of this geometry right here needs to go back. So I'll pull back to the front, hold shift to snap, control or alt, and then drag and let go of it to zoom. And then make this a little bit smaller. Start to sculpt the eye like this. But again, I really need to push this area back. It's way too, it's like he's got puffy eye syndrome. BDS, space bar, scale it down. Start to sculpt into this and push this area back. Yeah, still need more geometry. Where am I at? 47,000 polygon. Yeah, I guess that is kind of low on ZBrush terms. I've been working in Blender more lately, so it's like a very big difference into what you start perceiving as polygon use when you're hard surface or designing in 3D, and then you go to Sculpt and you're like, millions of polys. I want millions of opportunities. Okay, so Alt, drag. There we go, and I'm just trying to build that shape. So again, cut back a little bit, Alt, drag to get that part to come out towards us, back away from us, out towards us, right? And then you get a little bit more of that shape. It doesn't do all the work for you. I actually need a little bit more polys, as I mentioned. BMV, continue to shape this. Now another thing that I like to do right about here is I take control, oh, not that one, control, tap over here, go to mark lasso, control, drag, and isolate half of the eye. Go back to the move brush and move that down. And basically what I'm looking for is to pinch the top eyelid to the bottom eyelid a little bit and get some of the shape that I'm looking for, which I usually have to play around with this quite a bit before I get the shape I want. I have to, whoa, look at that. I have to move to different angles, which I totally wasn't doing. Don't do that. Always move the camera around in this sucker, or viewport, whatever you call it. And yeah, that's already looking better. Good. Okay, and now I'll take control, tap, and that reverses the selection. And I'll get this other part. Remember, I'm looking for that pinch. I try to think about 1 to 2 goals per area. One, ideally. Like I'm very much better off as a singular focus kind of guy. But I dabble in the art of multitasking, and I do mean dabble. But you know, if I can think of 1 to 2 things in each area that I need to clean up or rectify, then I'm doing pretty good. If I start to, I don't know, just multitask any more than that, I think it falls apart for me. I guess we're all different there. But there's a little bit better version of the shape of the eyes. Now another thing, as I mentioned this in a lot of my drawing videos, I fix something, but I'm not done with it. But I'm also, you know, I've accomplished that little bit that I wanted to fix. I made it a little bit better, and now I'm on to something else. And I keep doing that. I think that allows me to stay productive and excited at the same time about the work that I'm doing. If I can keep making things about the artwork, Sculpt in this case, better and better, then I'm golden. But if I get bent out of shape over one area and I can't get it right, and I stay there too long, it just kills the creativity for me. Okay, BCB. I'm going to start to get some of this fold right here in. I can't believe it. I feel like I still need more geometry. Now, the other thing is this. You could, probably a better way to look at this is to say, well, do you have the shapes roughly where you want them? And then just go to subdivisions. I'm going to use Dynamesh for a little bit longer. I think that as a beginner, it's probably better, but do realize that your next step is to figure out how subdivisions work. But you have to kind of get most of your shapes in a certain range of where you need them to be, because subdivisions give you more and less detail, but you don't want to be pulling polygons out a lot. I feel like that's where it falls apart. So you have to get your base shapes everywhere you want. Now, I would say for a face, then we're probably pretty good. I mean, I still got to add the ears, obviously, and a neck. Yeah, that's about it, I guess. But your next step after getting comfortable with Dynamesh and redynameshing things is once you feel comfortable with getting your base forms in place, you're going to want to learn how to use subdivisions. At least, again, that's what I think. And of course, if you're here on my channel, you want to know what I think, and that's what I think. All right, so keep cutting into the mouth here. That little dip right there. Probably start smoothing more so it looks a little bit better. Looks pretty bad, doesn't it? Another good brush to use for like wrinkles and stuff and folds is or like protrusions, extrusion, I don't know what you call it, protrusions, extrusions, wrinkles that come away from the face, folds. Anyways, BST, the standard brush, is great for veins as well. Oh, I forgot I have that little mouse, that little center button on my stylus. I switched over to my regular tablet, folks. I don't know if anybody cares, but it's I'm liking it. I'm really digging it for sculpting because I can look up at my big screen versus staring at my smaller Huion. But yeah, so for folds like this, you do a nice extended fold. I don't know. Actually, I'd like the clay buildup for that particular fold for some reason, because I like this to flatten out a little bit. So if I hit like BTD, I like to try to get this little bit of a plane change right here. You'll see it more as I refine it, but that's, I don't know, to me that particular area of the face looks better. And while I'm here, I might as well build in some of the flat planes of the nose. I really like the trim dynamic brush for that, just to kind of think about some of these plane changes. And let's go back to clay buildup. Alt, drag through here. I'll push some of this back, make that cheekbone pop a little more. Feel like this is too flat. Can't believe it. I'm going to need some more Geo. That's what the cool kids call topology. I need some Geo, man. To me, Geo was a car that no one wanted to drive back in the day. That's what that was. Okay, so something like that. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to add the ears. Same way I did the eyes. But the dude needs some ears, and he needs a neck, because that gives me a lot of relatable spatial awareness. And I like me some spatial awareness. Okay, so I'm going to go Shift A. No, I'm just kidding. That's Blender. I almost did it, though. I was reaching for the keyboard, folks. So we will go to Subtools, Append, the cylinder. Where are you? Is that, no, it's not it. It's this one. Cylinder, remember to jump over to the subtool, grab rotate, grab this. Remember that you can hold shift and it will snap to your increments of rotation. You can scale this way or condense down that one axes, scale entirely this way, go to transparent, move that over, scale again with that yellow box in the middle. Let's turn that to the side, hold shift to snap as you rotate with the mouse, scale. I like to squish this a little bit like this. I like to rotate it like this. And remember, you can unlock here and then click here, and it will reorient your gizmo. Sometimes you got to do it by hand, but it seems like it works more often than not, especially on a basic or a new subtool. Lock it, and now it's effective again. And I'll bring it down to here. Remember that the top of the ear gives you the brow line, bottom of the ear gives you the bottom of the nose. I think I want this character to have slightly bigger ears. I'm not sure yet, but we'll go in that direction. And then go to the back, hold shift, snap. You see that I need to zoom in on this and center it. You see that the shape is still too wide. So I'm going to squeeze that in all the way to about there. I'm going to bring that out. And I'm going to actually do two things. I'm going to rotate it this way a little bit. And I'm going to rotate it this way as well. But before I do that, I'm actually going to duplicate it. And I'll show you why. I'm going to bring that in, scale that down, push that back over to where they're, connecting. And now I will grab, the other one, which is up one. Remember, you can get to your different subtools with your up and down arrow keys. You cycle through those. Very handy feature. So I'm going to go to this one. And I'm going to rotate this. Oh, sorry. I want the other one. Whoopsie. And I'm going to rotate that out just a little bit like this. I have to make sure that this one connects with it. So maybe what I'll do is I'll actually extend that out. I want it to go past it because I'm going to unite those together. Sort of like Voltron. Yeah, let me drag that over. Nope, still not right. Thought I did that enough. Which I can push this around. It's not a big deal. And let's get rid of transparent so I can see that a bit better. And maybe something like that. This area of the head needs to be pushed back further, so that's probably something I should have did before adding this, but it's not a big deal. This works. So now what I've got is a basic, starting point to the ears that I find to be a little bit better to work with. You can do whatever you want for basic poly build up to this. And then from here, I guess what I will do, the proper way is really a Boolean. I usually just merge it down. So if you're not too awfully concerned with it, just do that. But I'll do a quick Boolean, I guess. They're pretty easy. So what you do here is just start this. This next one would be this one here, which is combine. I believe that's it. And then you go to live Boolean and Boolean, make Boolean mesh, right? Hopefully that's right. And if I remember correctly, did it do it? It did not. Why is that? Maybe it's up here somewhere. Oh, I don't see it being there. I don't see that being it. Did I do something wrong? What did I do? U-mesh. Oh, here it is. Yeah, see how it's together on one subtool? It added the head, which I don't know why it did that. But anyways, all we're going to do is go to copy, or I don't know, can we do it that way? Let's try it. No, you know what? We're just going to go to the other one. I'm going to try it both ways. Forgive me. I'm so sorry. Copy, go back to our original project, paste. That's better work. So better work. There it is. Okay, so now let's get rid of these two. And there we go. The ear is on its own combined mesh. If you hit Shift F, will you see through the mesh? And look at that, nice poly groups. Oh, except they went, the one poly group went to the other side. That was unfortunate, but I'm not going to use those anyways. I just wanted the mesh combined. There it is. And so now what I like to do here, hit F to center the model on the front axes, front orthogonal or front view. And then I'm just going to get rid of these guys. I don't really need those anyways. Sayonara. Or you could put them in a group. You could add new folder. Where's that sucker? It's in there somewhere. Add new folder right there and then put them in that. And then this, I'm just going to go over to Geometry, Modify Topology, mirror and weld along the x-axis. Boom, there we go. Make sure to hit X. See how it's not showing you the icon over there, the little point modeler? It's on this side. Hit X, and now it's on both sides. Just make sure to do that. And then now we can get in here and start to model. But if you notice, there's hardly any polygons there, right? Go up here, 1700, not a lot for ears. But what we can do is just go right back into our Dynamesh. I'll probably start at 128. Now just remember too, when you go to merge this stuff, when there's subdivisions, you want the same amount of subdivisions. But with Dynamesh, I don't know, you really don't have to worry about it. I don't anyways. Because I want more topology into areas that require it. So ears, to me, I need a good amount to be able to push and pull these shapes around. So I'm going to go back to the Damien standard, scribe in the shape of an ear. I see this shape, I see this shape. I see dead people, just kidding. That's a quote from a movie by M. Night Shyamalan. You know what I'm talking about. Sixth Sense, baby. Great movie. One of his best. Probably his best movie. Honestly, I think the rest have been kind of hoping for that greatness. But Signs was pretty good. All right, I'm getting off track here. Great director, though. The Sixth Sense on a whole nother level. High five, dude. Okay, so just, scribe out some of the details, maneuver the ear from different perspectives. Obviously, the ear is a complex little beast. Oh, you know what? Actually, too, I'm going to go to the head and, oh, why did it jump? Am I in solo? No, that's weird. The visibility must be off that subtool. See that little eye right there? That's got to be on. Or we'll do that. Which I did kind of want it out of the way a little bit. I just wanted transparent, I think. I want to see this little area where it's pushing out. I don't like that. So now that I'm on the head part, BCB, and hit Alt, push that in. Smooth it out. A little better. I feel like all this needs to go in a little bit. Shift to smooth, and on and on we go. Okay, so now let's take this transparent off. He's getting there. It's kind of weird looking, but I kind of like it. Where are we at? Holy moly, 33 minutes. Okay, I'm so sorry that this is taking so long. I am not the fastest sculptor, but I'm happy with where it's going, and it's fun. Hopefully you're having fun. I'm having fun. And so now let's take this and let's go up 2 with the arrow keys. Move brush. I'm going to quit calling out keys at this point. I need to speed up for you guys. That's how I do it. I just quit being so specific on what I'm doing. I think you've got a good idea. If you've been here this long in the video, you now know a lot of what I'm doing. It's a bit redundant. And so now what I'll do is grab an area for the neck, hold Control. You can use the lasso, but just keep in mind if you do that, it goes right through to the top, and it doesn't support back face culling. It's kind of annoying. I don't know why it's set up like that, but it is. So hold Control, just go to Mask Pen, and just draw this out because it does support back face culling, meaning that it will not pass through to the top of the dome. Use drag and shift to snap, Control tap to invert. You see that bottom's like that now. Grab your move gizmo. I like to unlock it and then turn it the direction that I want to pull it, and then pull. I'll also pull that back this way and even scale it just a smidge and draw. And make sure it's just a smidge, okay? Don't go 2 smidges. Be very accurate with your units of measurement. And you know what a smidge is, don't you? Okay, so there's that. I'm going to go ahead and re-Dynamesh. So if you notice, let me go back just to show you in case you're not familiar with Dynamesh's real ability. See how those polygons are stretched right there? Now watch when I hit Control Shift. Boom. So that's really the whole purpose of Dynamesh. Past that, you could probably just get away at this point with subdivisions, and I usually do. But I'm going to Dynamesh one more time, and then I want to show you by the end of it how to project, because I think that's another integral part. So I'm going to go up to 250, and that should be plenty really for what I'm trying to do here. Let's see. So BCB, touch the mesh, Control drag, reDynamesh, Shift F to see the mesh. Yeah, it's getting pretty dense. So a good opportunity to check this, besides the eyes are really where I need the most polygons. But we'll be right through here. So I'm going to smooth this out, holding Shift obviously. And the other thing you'll tend to notice when you get the Dynamesh too high, or the, polygons in general too high, the smoothing starts to slow right down. So it's finding this nice happy medium where you get plenty of geometry, or geo if you're one of the cool kids, but also you don't go too far where you can't manipulate that geometry. So it's a nice little happy medium to those concepts. But that's where subdivisions is so powerful, because once you get all this stuff in the general vicinity of what you're looking for, you if you got 5 subdivisions, you've got a lot of room to work. Seems like, anyways. I've done some relatively decent modeling with that approach. Yeah, so what are we at? 221,000. Oh yeah, it's still pretty light for a face, and that's why I can't do certain things. There's certain things you can do with that amount of geometry, and there's others you really can't. Like, you couldn't get into a whole lot of heavy detail. Well, I can anyways. Maybe you can. I don't like to limit anybody's potential based upon my standards. That would be unfortuitous or something. Okay, so I don't think that was the right word. Sorry. I'm grabbing at straws here, people. Just trying to sculpt and talk at the same time. It's tricky for this guy. As I mentioned before, I'm not much of a multitasker. Oh yeah, I still need more geometry. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and subdivide. So again, just going to get in a few more of those little details that I want to see as I get ready to subdivide. I'm going to show you how to project this, even though I probably could take this up a bit further before I did that. But okay. What else? You know what? I think I gotta just Dynamesh this again. I gotta go up even higher before I subdivide. Sorry. I hate to mislead you folks. It's kind of weird though, because I feel like the portion where the brush is harder to use as far as what I'm looking for the shapes. So that's another thing. It's not just how the smoothing works, how each individual brushes work for a given area. And so the clay buildup feels a bit slow or not as aggressive. Did I change my Z intensity? Because remember, you can always adjust this as well. But yeah, it just feels a little, see there, it felt good. Maybe I need more Z intensity for where I'm at. But yeah, compared to the smoothing, it doesn't feel adequate. So it's finding a balance for whatever part of the process you're on. Let me get some of the back of the head pushed in right here. bring that up to 50. Okay. And back to the face. I like pushing and pulling around the wrinkles too. I feel like that always helps to build in a little bit more of a edge to the wrinkles. Like there's certain areas I'll wrinkle something, either pinch it or just literally grab it and squeeze it into an area like this. And it just makes the wrinkles look more intense and compressed. I just kind of like it. Likewise with, just put a hole in the side of his head. Be careful of that. But likewise, I like to take areas like this. See if I can pull it off with the mask pen. Now I'm going to use I like the lasso for this part. So I'm going to take the lasso and go right where the eye is, like this. I'm not worried about the back because I'm not going to affect that area. So like this. And then I could take the move and pull away from that area that's masked. I could even pull it down and get that kind of hooded eyes. Something like that. Doesn't always work, but sometimes it does. Let's see. I can still smooth it just a little bit. But just, I don't know, just building in more intense wrinkles like that is kind of fun to do. There's all sorts of opportunities for that. I could even do it right here a little bit, see if it works. Might be a little too aggressive for this area, but I'm going to try it anyways because I'm kind of an aggressive guy on Tuesdays. I think today's Tuesday. See that? Just give a little bit of that wrinkle or that fold there. Oh yeah, that's pretty. I like that. I don't like how it's so overly round right here, so I probably should have pulled in like maybe like that. Just kind of sculpt it a bit so it's not so even. You could really even throw in some asymmetry there, but I'm not looking to do that yet. And then also I need more folds right about here. Oops, I was holding Alt. It's not a bad thing. Sometimes the wrinkles look better when you do bring them out versus in. Kind of need a bit of back and forth with that, I think. But not just because you accidentally hit the key, that's a mistake. Let's not church it up and call a mistake a good thing. But then again, Bob Ross does talk about happy accidents, right? So I guess you just got to be an optimist. Let's say something like this, some wrinkles in the lips, even though I'm not really to that level of detail, but it's just kind of fun to do while you're fleshing it out. Okay, so now, obviously I can just keep taking this way, way further, right? But hopefully you're getting the idea. It's really more of the same. But yeah, let me show you how to, because this video is just getting too awfully long. And I can, if you guys want, I'll save it where it's at after I show this next little bit. And we can keep going, but I got to know that somebody wants to see it. Because if not, I would just consider this a nice practice sculpt and add it to the droves of heads that I have, my heads file. And if you guys want, I can put this in my free models pack or whatever. Just let me know. I just want to make sure there's some value here for you, and I'm not just making stuff nobody wants, because that's always a possibility on YouTubesville. So what I want to show you here, which is still a really integral part, obviously the neck's far from right. There's lots of little details that need to be added. The eyes need more work, obviously. All of it needs more work. But what I would do is at a certain point, I'm like, all right, I got enough resolution. I got all the main shapes kind of working where they're, roundabout where I want them. But I want to go to subdivisions because it's just better. And it gives you a low poly version, high poly version, all that. It's real easy to do. I'm just going to do the head though. I'll keep the rest. Well, there's only eyes and ears, but I'm just going to do the head. So I'm going to duplicate this head. All right, I'm going to take this particular one on the bottom. I'm going to go to geometry. I need to pull it out of Dynamesh? I think I do. I'm going to take off Dynamesh. You see we're at 221,051 active points for this particular mesh that we're on, not the total, right? Modify topology, ZRemesher, and I like to go to adapt and half. I'm sure you can play around with this stuff. If you've got poly groups, make sure to keep groups. It also directs the poly flow, I believe. But I'm going to hit ZRemesh, and it should take this down to 100,010. Let's see. How good am I at math? Not that good. I obviously have a slow computer, so we just have to wait. Boom, 99,000 polys. Okay, so now I'm going to take the visibility off the one on top so you can see what it's doing. I'm going to also get in here a little bit closer. I love ZRemesher. It does pretty nice topology. And I love seeing what models that I sculpt look like in less topology. I feel like it's a learning experience all on its own. So anyways, there's that. I'm going to take that down quite a bit further. So back in here, ZRemesher. I don't think I need to keep adapt off. If I remember correctly, adapt and adapt size is trying to distribute even polygon flow. So even squares all across the board. Don't quote me on that. I'm going to see if it'll still half it with adapt on. It seems like I turned that off though. Should get a little bit faster each time because now it's just trying to simplify it even further. And it did drop down again. So there you go. There's 44,000. I'm going to do that again. 20,000. I guess depending upon your needs, you might take it further. I look at it like, okay, if I was to model and smooth and move polygons around this size, would this be adequate? It really would. If you're needing it for something more optimized for games, maybe you took it down another subdivision or two. I don't know. I haven't done a whole lot. I haven't done anything for games, honestly, so I couldn't tell you that. But there we go. There's our very reduced down version. And so now what we need to do is we need to remember the number was 221. Now you could go above that. Probably would a little bit at least. So, but what you can do here is you can now divide this model back upwards. But now you're giving it subdivision levels, right? Boom, boom. I'm going to go one above. So I actually went a lot over because our original model, if you remember, was 221,000. Now I'm at 634. But it gives me another subdivision level up to really add detail. So I'm going to say okay to that. But now what I need to do is I have to project the top one down to the bottom one. The way that you do this is you turn this one on, this one off, but you sit on this one. See how it's highlighted basically? So just you got to remember that because it's easy to get wrong. Top one on, the one where the projection's coming from, to the one that the projection's going to with the subdivisions. This has no subdivisions, right? But this one's off visibly. I'm going to turn these off as well. I don't think that matters, but maybe it does. But I'm sitting on it. I don't know how else to explain it, but just remember that part right there. And then you come down here to, what is that under? Subtools, right? Project. Yep, right there. And project all. Now, if you have poly paint, it will ask you, do you want to put that on there? I always do. But yeah, maybe you do, maybe you don't. But now if you go to this bottom one, and you go to move it, you'll see it get grainy real quick, right? I'll put these other items back on. And so now what you can tell is that we have subdivision levels. So it retained all that detail. It messed up a couple little things. Sometimes you can reproject. I don't know if that's a big deal, but yeah, we just fix that. Push some of this area back here, whatever. But now what you can do is you can really start to detail this. You can subdivide it again for really high like skin pores and tight details and all that good stuff. But now what you end up with is the ability to go forward and back in your subdivisions. And so super effective for controlling the geometry, exporting to a variety of other programs like Blender and using displacement maps and all that good stuff. So yeah, you can go back and forth And what I'll do a lot of times is I will correct things and I'll kind of cycle through the subdivisions. Sometimes I have to fix other elements of it. So that's it. I know this was an extremely long one, but hopefully it gets some of you rocking and rolling. I'm also doing some Blender sculpting and getting more proficient in that software. Let me know if you want to see various things sculpted or designed in either program, as well as what else you'd like to see on the channel. Thanks so much for watching. Good luck with the art, and bye for now.